everybody, and welcome to the U.S. History Part B Unit 1 test. I'll be reading the test to you today along with the answer options. This test has 20 multiple choice questions and 2 short answer questions at the end. Please make sure to carefully read over the during the test taking tips before you enter the test. It says to read through the questions, answer those that you know right away, copy what you are answering on paper. Make sure that you write 1 to 20 and make a record of A, B, or C, depending on what you're selecting. So in case you lose internet access, you'll still have your answers. Also, in case the test has to be reset, you still have your answers. Click save as you go, and then make sure that you hit submit at the end of the test so that the test is submitted appropriately and the grade does show up in the grade book. Copy and paste essay responses that you have prepared ahead of time. You get the essay or the short answer questions ahead of time in class in live session, so you are expected to write those responses ahead of time and copy and paste them into the test. Review your notes that are unfamiliar. Use the textbook for questions that aren't addressed in the notes, and read over the test one more time before submitting. Again, remember to click submit before you finish and exit the test. Do not exit the test before you are done. You can't go back in. Okay, you can save your answers as you go, but sometimes that prevents you from being able to go back in, and it burns one of your attempts. You only get 2 attempts. So make sure that you guys are sitting down and ready to take this in its entirety. You can take a break, but don't walk away from it permanently and expect to be able to get back in. All right, number 1, it says, which is a true statement about cities in the period between the Civil War and 1920? Cities grew rapidly as both immigrants and native-born citizens sought higher-paying jobs. Cities grew slowly because people wanted to stay on their farms and make money. Or C, cities grew rapidly because people were eager to enjoy the sophisticated entertainment they offered. 2, why did many immigrants choose to live in cities as they entered the United States in the late 1800s or early 1900s? Jobs, family, and friends were there. Option B, cities reminded them of home. Or the last option, their visas required them to do so. Number 3, which had the greatest impact on the growth of the cities and the expansion of cities to the suburbs? Transportation innovations, political changes, or leadership from mayors? Number 4, which was not an element of urban social stratification in the cities of the late 1800s? Race, class, or gender? Number 5, how were skyscrapers important to the growth and development of cities? They took advantage of vertical expansion when land was at a premium. They added interest to the skyline, or they showed that America was very powerful and important. Number 6, leaders in what organization helped immigrants and others cope with the challenges of life in the city while also lining their own pockets with bribes? Were these political machines, the Democratic Party, or the Republican Party? Number 7, which is a corrupt political machine of the 1800s? Tweed's Boys, Tammany Hall, or the Rough Riders? Number 8, what was one of the goals of the settlement house movement started by Jane Addams at Hull House? To provide housing for day laborers, to assist the urban poor, or to help people buy property? Number 9, why is the Populist Party generally regarded as a failure by historians? It advocated an income tax that became highly unpopular. It looked to the future and was too far ahead of its time. It did not address the realities of industrial economy and could not endure. Number 10, what progressive organization had a goal of providing food and shelter to the slum-dwelling poor? The Sheldon Steps, the Booth Believers, or the Salvation Army? Number 11, which was not a goal of the progressive movement? Regulation of some aspects of the economy, improvement of social conditions, or establishment of a national bank? Number 12, and sorry about the formatting on this one, it turned out to look a little different here. What purpose or goal did muckrakers like Ida Tarbell, Upton Sinclair, and Lincoln Steffens devote their journalistic careers to? Following and reporting celebrity actions and spreading gossip, exposing corruption in business in the late 1800s, or serving as speechwriters for the mayors of Chicago, New York, and Philadelphia. Number 13, which was one reform of the progressive movement? Conservation zones within cities, election of mayors instead of hiring city managers, or direct election of U.S. senators. Number 14, what agricultural system trapped many Southern blacks in a cycle of debt and poverty despite their hard work? Farm alliances, sharecropping, or the crop lien system. Number 15, which was not something that promoted segregation and limited the rights of blacks? Crop liens, Jim Crow laws, poll taxes. Number 16, which 1896 Supreme Court decision approved segregation of blacks as long as separate but equal facilities were provided? Plessy versus Ferguson, Brown versus Board of Education, or Madison versus Marbury. Number 17, which of the following does not correctly match the African American leader or activist with the accomplishment he is known for? Booker T. Washington developed the Tuskegee Institute for job training and emphasized needs for economic equality before social equality for African Americans. Marcus Garvey believed that the only way to achieve equality for African Americans was to push for immediate desegregation in the country. Or W.E.B. Du Bois became editor of the NAACP magazine The Crisis, disagreed with Washington's philosophy of economic equality before social equality. Number 18, which was a philosophy of early women's suffrage leaders Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony? Include men in their organization and have them advocate for women's rights or women's suffrage. Bar men from membership in their organization and gain immediate women's suffrage. Or the last option, gain voting rights at the state level first and then move on to federal rights. Which president endorsed the passage of the 19th Amendment, which gave women the right to vote? Theodore Roosevelt, William Howard Taft, or Woodrow Wilson? Our last multiple choice question is number 20. Immigrants arrive in America's cities poor and frightened. They are helped to find jobs or housing. The newcomers should show their gratitude at voting time. Read and review the quote above. The quote most likely is from a religious leader, a factory owner, or a political party boss. Number 21 is your first short answer question. It says the United States started the 20th century filled with growth and optimism, but Americans were aware that society and politics had problems that needed to be reformed. Be sure to give page references for all your information. You should only be using your textbook and course slides to answer these questions. All responses should be in complete sentences. Any responses coming from another resource outside of your textbook and course slides that are not in students' own wording will be considered plagiarism or copying. Use Unit 1 online course lessons and textbook pages 539 to 605, chapters 24, 25, and 26. Choose one leader or reform from the early 20th century in your short answer. Include the following: the area of reform that leader worked in, and a specific example of what they did to help support that reform movement in which they were involved. Number 22, be sure to give page references for all information. You should only be using, again, Unit 1 online course lessons and textbook pages 538 to 605, chapters 24 to 26 to answer these questions. All responses should be in complete sentences. In this unit, we have seen many examples of individuals showing optimism. Remember, optimism can be observed in a person who expects the best from the future and works to achieve it. People who are optimistic stay motivated even when things don't go well, believe that you can improve on things that you are not necessarily good at, and believe that their efforts will improve their future. Choose from the list of people provided that we have studied in this unit. Give one specific example and explain how this individual displayed optimism through their actions. You could choose either Theodore Roosevelt, Jane Addams, Booker T. Washington, Upton Sinclair, or Alice Paul. When you get to the end of your test, make sure that you have saved your answers as you went and then again submit for grading. Good luck on your test.